Hi, how are you? My name is Sarahi. I'm a registered dietitian. Were you able to find everything okay?
Yeah, it was pretty easy. I got in here, so thank you.
Yeah, that's really good. I'm glad. I know it can be a little difficult to get in here because it's kind of like a maze in here, but yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me, what brings you in here today?
So I'm just looking to kind of minimize the amount of time on my phone. I feel like sometimes I'm on it too much and not as present as I'd like to be, and kind of distracts me from other things I need to be doing. I'm on it sometimes, like, I think it bothers me the most, like before I go to bed. I'm kind of scrolling through social media mostly, and when I wake up too sometimes before I actually get up. So I just think it's kind of taking away from times I could be doing other things or even focusing on homework. And obviously I do focus on homework, but I think sometimes it's just a distraction.
Okay.
Yeah.
So less time on so definitely working on being on less time on your phone and focusing on other things for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. All right. So today with our session, we're gonna have about 20 to 30 minutes, which doesn't seem like a lot, but we'll be talking about like current behaviors, how you feel about like making the change, and so definitely just like kind of like talking about it or how comfortable you feel with it. So we'll definitely do that. So tell me, you said that you are quite often on your phone. So how would you say, like, how many hours you would be on your phone? Do you?
Oh, I'm not quite sure, but throughout the day, I'm sure it adds up quite a bit. And I know there is a thing you can like see on Instagram, like how often you use that too, but I know that's just for Instagram, so I'm not sure. But I think I'm on it quite a bit, even sometimes like I'll be walking and on it. It's kind of a bad habit. Or sometimes if I have it sitting there while I'm, doing homework, I might just check it. So, yeah, quite a bit of time. I'm not quite sure how many hours though.
Okay. So you are on it a lot. How would you say, like, throughout the day, how often do you check it?
Oh, that's so, honestly, like in between classes and like in the morning and the evening. I can't give you a number. Sometimes I actually pick up my phone, but I check it quite a bit, like when I have time and, free time.
Okay. So you do check it whenever there's available time and seems like you just want to not be so much on your phone.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay. So is there anything else? Is this particularly like just on your phone that you want to talk about, like the amount of time, or is there other times that like other electronics that you are on that you don't want to like view as much? Or
I think it's mostly my phone. I'm on my computer doing homework, and I guess sometimes I look at other things, but it's mostly like social media that's just on my phone, particularly Instagram, that I would be on mostly, and I think that's most distracting, and I like to decrease my time, and even maybe have it away from my bed, so I have to actually, keep it away and not pick it up when I wake up or things like that. But I use it as an alarm, so I do charge it right next to my bed. But
okay.
The main thing for me would be just decreasing overall time.
Time. Perfect. Okay. Well, so we'll definitely look at some things that can definitely help you with that. So before we continue, I'd like to ask you just a few questions just to see where we're at. So how do you feel about making this change with regards to reducing the amount of time you do use on your phone? Because you said you do use it quite often,
Mm-hmm.
and especially you do have it next to you, next to your bed, and then you do check it on your free time. But how important is it for you to make the change?
I would say it's pretty important, because I feel like I could be more productive with other things that need to get done. Even as simple as like doing the dishes. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I'll just look at my phone for a little bit and then do the dishes or something.
Right.
So I think it can just be more productive and probably even help. I'm not too stressed, but then I could get more things done in a timely manner if I'm not on it as much. So it's pretty important, but also I've been thinking about it for a while and I haven't made the change. So I don't know how motivated I am to actually do it.
Yeah, so it seems like you're in between of like actually, making the change, and then you're still, it's in between.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
So is there, is there anything that prevents you from making the change, or is there anything in particular? Because it says that you are trying to make the change, but what is you could say, limiting you, or is there like a sort of barrier?
So I think I haven't actually tried to implement the change. Like I haven't actually like plugged my phone in elsewhere, or like I think even putting it in another room would be helpful for me when I'm doing homework. I've done that a few times before, but so I've thought about it, but I haven't fully tried it. And things that I think it's just kind of like a habit of me being on it, honestly. So I think that's kind of why it's hard for me to not look at it and pick it up. I mean, I'm not checking anything that important, so I don't know why I do, but I think mainly just because I've been doing it for a while that it's tricky to.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So it seems like you just want to, you are willing to make the change, but you haven't really tried to, but you want to.
Yeah,
Seems like, yeah.
I think so. I mean, yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, so how do you see this change like affect your life? Is it a lot better for you, or how do you see this like improve?
I think it would just make me more present and just kind of like I said, getting more things done. I could get my homework done quicker probably, and then maybe be on my phone instead of just like spreading it out, while kind of like doing both at the same time.
Right.
Or throughout. Maybe if I just focused on getting one task done and then being like, okay, you can look at your phone for a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, so it seems like you want to start off slow. Since you do look on your phone quite often, you do look at it just every little once in a while. Alrighty, so it seems like you are willing to make the change, like we discussed before, but if it's okay, we have some strategies here that has helped my clients in the past with, reducing the amount of screen time that they do have on their phone, and hopefully it could help you in a way that will definitely help you start to make the change, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that sounds great. I'd like to see that.
Perfect. Okay. So here I have a handout for you that these are just some things that my clients have said definitely worked for them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just sort of a list of things that has helped them in the past. So here we have, since if you said you're on it quite often, like whether it's like in between like doing homework, or even if it's on your bed or something.
Mm-hmm.
So here we have a few. So if you want, you can take a look at it and tell me what you think would help for you.
Okay, I think there's a few things, but this is
Mm-hmm.
one thing I've thought about before bed instead of scrolling through my phone, reading
Right.
for pleasure, not schoolwork,
Mm-hmm.
which I want to do more of, but I haven't really, because I'm like, I don't have time to do that outside of school, but if I'm not on my phone, so that one, picking up a book maybe instead of scrolling.
Right, yeah.
That's one thing, and then I think I need my phone charging in the bedroom because I use it as an alarm, but maybe plugging it in away from my bed and then reading a book or something,
Mm-hmm.
or just going to bed and not looking at it. And then the other main thing would be to not have it with me when I'm doing homework at home.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I'm alone at home, so sometimes it's easy to just be like, I'm just here. And when I'm at the library, I think it's easier because I'm surrounded by other people. I'm not just checking my phone, but when I'm at home, I can get into that bad habit. So
Yeah.
just kind of keeping it away from me would be helpful.
That's really good. And yeah, I've had experiences with clients who they've gone up to me and they've actually told me ways that they've definitely put their phones away for the meantime. So some of the things that they told me is that when they're at home and they don't want to spend as much time on their phone, they usually say that they usually put it in a place where they won't tend to reach it as much. So for example, if they are, let's say, doing the dishes or if they're doing homework, for example, and they don't want to have it on reach. So if I have my phone right here, they tend to put it in a place where it's further away from them, for sure. They'd put it like in a drawer or something, and then they usually set like a timer for themselves.
Yeah.
And they say, okay, so how long can I really have without my phone.
Yeah.
So whatever it's mostly what they feel comfortable with, and it could be as short amount of time as like 10 minutes or even less. Just sort of depends on how they feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So, and for your case, since you say you are you are on your phone pretty often, it just depends on what you feel comfortable with. So if you feel comfortable with not being on your phone as often, like if you are doing homework and you know it's important,
Mm-hmm.
then definitely if you feel like it's a good idea, you could definitely try it, and it's completely up to you as well. So what would you say would be some positives and negatives about making the change with with reducing the amount of time on your phone?
I think I'd be more productive and just get some things done in a more efficient time. Also, I don't know, it'd be nice. I don't know, sometimes when you're on it, you also just look at what other people are doing with their lives, and it's kind of can be distracting. So I think that would be some positives to not focus on what other people are doing, focus on myself and getting things done. I think negatives would just be like sometimes it's nice to just like not think about things and kind of scroll through it. So that would be, but I do think that I do it a little too much. So
Okay.
yeah.
So definitely positives. You said just being able to stay away from it, and being more focused on you, not so much on on your phone, on others, social media. And then cons would be just scrolling through it, scrolling through your phone, and just want to make more time. It makes a lot of sense, and it makes like you do want to make the change, and that's good. That's good. So, based on what information that I provided for you with like has helped my clients definitely. What is your goal? Like, what is a goal that you would want to make with making this change?
I think just you want me to just pick one right now to
You
focus
can
on?
you can pick whichever one you feel more comfortable with.
I think for now, just turning off my phone and like putting it in another room while I'm doing homework would be a good one, and like just do that for at least an hour.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be a good step to start with because that's helped me before, where I've actually like physically turned it off and then put it in. Sometimes I do homework on my kitchen table, so then put it in my bedroom or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. So starting off with putting it elsewhere is good with you. So how would you say? How often would you think you would be able to do that with like putting it elsewhere and being able not to use it as often? How do you feel about?
If I'm just doing it for like an hour at a time, I think I should do that every day that I do homework. Honestly, I mean, I do. It's not that I check it that much when I'm doing homework. I think it's just if it's sitting here next to me, I'm more tempted to look at it.
Okay.
So I think I could do that. I mean, the next step, I would also want to do it, not look at it before I go to bed. But just to start, I think every day I'm doing homework, I could put it away for an hour and put it in another room and turn it off.
Another room. Perfect. So just having it away for that amount of time. And how confident do you feel about that? Like on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel about setting it aside for an hour and not having it next to you, especially when you're doing homework? How do you feel about that?
I feel like an 8.5. Like, I feel like I'm pretty confident I could do that. Yeah.
That's really good. So at first you're saying you weren't so sure about how to make that change, especially since, you're so used to having your phone with you, next to you as often, and you're checking social media. And then now that you sit here at an 8 and you feel like, okay, making a smaller goal and, having it away for at least an hour is good. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad that you did that. It definitely went up the scale.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah. No, it definitely feels like it's more attainable to do that, just like that small step.
Yeah, definitely. Smaller goals is definitely a good way to start. And I know a lot of my clients definitely find that a bit motivating because if we're starting, definitely they find it that starting off at a bigger step versus like, not spending, many hours on their phone versus just a little bit of time it helps them slowly decrease their time on their phone. Well, I'm glad you decided that to make that specific goal for yourself. I'm happy for you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. It
I'm
seems
glad.
great.
So definitely doing that particular goal is good. Is there anything else that you see here that you feel like you can definitely try?
I think in the future I could try not like reading a book before I go to bed instead of looking at my phone. But I think for now, with finals and everything coming up, just putting my phone away because I have a lot of projects to get done and papers. So just putting my phone away, that would be the most beneficial. But I could also try not having it right by my bedside as well.
Perfect. So you are currently studying, is what I'm hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. And you have a lot on your plate. So just starting off small for you seems to be the way to go, and that's perfectly okay. So definitely starting not having it. You're saying that starting off with having it not next to you, like before bedtime, and having it farther away from you seems to be more beneficial. That's definitely a good goal to have. So we can definitely try that for that next week, and see how you feel about that. And I want to give you this worksheet right here. And this is just sort of going to help you out because for most of my clients, it definitely helps them to write down how they're feeling about it, how they're feeling about making that change. So here I have it. It's a small inquiry, but it says here, because we sometimes are acting and not really thinking about it, we can be out of touch with our pros and cons. And for most of my clients, it definitely helps them to write them down, especially if they are tempted to go on their phone quite often.
Mm-hmm.
They think, okay, well, if I am, not wanting to be on my phone as much, so what is the pro of this? What can I get done if I'm not on my phone as much? And they tend to write it down, and it really does help them.
Mm-hmm.
And then some things, even if there are some things that they don't like about it, for example, if I really want to be on my phone but I know I have to get things done, writing it down really does help them. So if they're I'm going to give you this worksheet to take with you.
Okay.
And when you are practicing, having your phone away from you, even if it's just for that 1 hour, like how you were mentioning before, definitely write down what's something what frustrates you about it. If it's not, if it can be anything, writing it down helps. And then also it talks about things that you would lose if that were to be changed, and things that you would gain if you decide to do that. Right. So just making the smaller goals and as well as just writing them down definitely has helped in the past with clients. So I'm going to have you take this.
Perfect.
And you can
Thank
definitely
you.
write it down. And if you would like, you can definitely write anything down what you feel right now. You can definitely.
Okay, the main thing I think I would like to write down I would gain is be more productive. Yeah, that would be the main one that I can think about right now, and I might have to think a little bit more about these guys here.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So starting off small, definitely writing one of those down, and you don't necessarily have to fill all of them out. It's whatever you feel comfortable with.
Okay.
Writing down, and this absolutely it goes to you. Nobody has to see it or anything, and this is just for you to have and have it there with you when you look at it and when you decide to put your phone away for a little bit and be like, okay, I'm not feeling comfortable. What is it that I'm getting from this? And you can see, okay, well, I want to be more productive. Definitely a good strategy.
Wow, that sounds great.
Yeah. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you now making your change?
See, about a 9. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
So it went from being an 8 to going from a 9. That's really good.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you decided to do that.
Yeah, thank you. No, this seems really helpful, and I think just talking through with you too, I see the benefits of being on my phone less and getting more things done, especially with such a busy time in the semester with school.
Oh yeah.
So.
Yeah, having so much on your plate, and then it tends to be you're more prone to, sometimes you're more prone to, be more distracted on other things. But definitely starting off small is a good way.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate this.
Yes, of course. So I know for next time we're gonna come back, do another session, and talk about any what you wrote down on your sheet for our next session and how that worked out for you with doing just the 1 hour a day. How does that sound?
That sounds great. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.